packaging,
What you guys always have on lock.
and then empty boxes, more packaging.
Hell yeah.
Some of the OG stuff, like the Yetis.
Ah, yes.
I think we got a couple. You can see some imp boxes right up there.
Dude, I pulled out a couple empty Imp and Yeti
Yeah,
boxes today. Yeah.
yeah, those are the OGs.
Hell yeah. Those are the dude, Yetis legitimately changed my life in sports cards. I'm not even kidding. The Yeti. I'm serious. I'm not even kidding.
It was
When I
definitely it was a good time. I mean, the boxes were fun. They weren't really. You could tell our marketing needed to be changed up a little bit, but overall, we had a lot of fun with that one. Even you go back to the OG, the ED1. That one, that
Mhm.
box was crazy. You had to fold that box yourself and then put the foam in it. Remember all that?
God.
Yeah, that box was crazy. So I remember that's kind of what brought me into the company too. Was y'all called me? You're like, you think you could sell this? I'm like, I think I could. And then I ended up double dipping a little bit on that and started breaking them myself too. It was a blast, man. Those boxes they put us on the map for sure.
Dude, that whole story. When you guys talked about that on the first interview, I got a lot of messages from, already having a whatnot background at the time. A lot of dudes were like, man, that was like the coolest shit. And I realized what I'm doing is wrong and I'm going to get out of it or I'm going to double down or whatever. Just how you guys broke down all of it from beginning to end. And like the spreadsheet, man, the spreadsheet got a lot of views. That real crazy. But I remember coming across Clutch Gene on Facebook and finding that Yeti, and that changed the game for me. I mean, dude, I'm literally doing this because of that. 500%.
That's cool.
Yeah, man. It's dude, all of this, man. It goes back. That's like people are like, dude, you still got Enigma Trading Company logo on your wallpaper. I'm like, and I always will, dude. I always will, man. It started there, man. At like everything, like, dude, with like bringing Ivan into it and like him getting super hype about things like before even breaking, but just opening stuff. I mean, like so many memories go back to your guys' company. Like that is wild.
Right. Well, one of my favorite memories is watching y'all. I think it was maybe one of your first runs you and Ivan did together, and y'all pulled that in person Josh Allen auto.
Going to him.
Such a cool freaking clip there.
Dude. Yeah, I love that clip. So I remember I was like, it's a walk-off homer, dude. I was pumped, man. I think I want to say that was our first live too. It might not have been, but I remember thinking, how is this not? I said that to the chat. How is this not a vault? Like
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense. But, anyways, what's going on, guys? I'm sitting here with Rick and Darren from Enigma Trading Company. It's been almost not quite, but almost a year since the first interview, and we got a lot to go over. I mean, I've been busy doing my thing. These guys have been crazy busy, so I wanted to kind of circle back and see what's going on. So, what's going on, guys?
Well, first and foremost, thanks for having us again. I guess it has been about a year, right? Where were
Almost,
we?
yeah.
Where were we when we left off last? Had we started the memorabilia?
We just were getting into it. Let's see. I'm just adding your email to this here. There we go. Yeah, you guys were just starting to get into it. It was at it's beginning stages where you guys hadn't moved into the new um packaging for it, and there hadn't been a lot opened, but we had just seen these bedazzled helmets and we're like, what is going on with this? That's pretty much
Gotcha.
where we
Okay.
were at with it. So
All right.
yeah, I
So,
mean,
a lot with it, about a year in, like you said. So, of course, cards are our bread and butter. We've been in the card game now, it's 2020, 2021, pretty consistently building repacks. Um, this past year, 2025, was a big year for us. It was a massive revenue year. It was a massive learning year. We we ran into a lot of things we did not quite know. We ran into a lot of things that we had on lock. And then we jumped into, of course, out of the breaking scene into hobby shops, right? So our products went into over 300 hobby shops across the United States. And then, of course, we jumped 2 feet, all the feet, everything, millions of dollars into the memorabilia. And we made just about every mistake you can, whether it was
Awesome.
packaging that folded in on itself or, you know, ordering things without samples, way too many helmets. So too much inventory control. It was a learning experience for sure. Of course, like I said, it was a massive revenue year for us. We doubled revenue. We've doubled revenue every year that we've been into business. Last year was over double, so it was phenomenal for revenue, but it cost us more money than I'm not going to say it was worth, but it definitely cost us a lot more money than it should have. So,
I'm
yeah,
sure
it's been a
that's got
fun,
to
wild
be
year. That's for sure.
without a doubt. And so, like, I mean, I'm definitely going to get into that. I mean, we can start there. So, for everybody just joining, maybe they didn't see the first interview, go check it out. These guys break down how to build a repack, and I mean, you're not going to find anybody that's going to give that kind of info on how to do it. They lay the blueprint out, and a lot of guys loved that. But so here we are, Enigma Trading Company, known for repack on sports cards and TCG, but definitely more sports cards, and in my world specifically football cards. And now, my first question is going to be: are you still primarily a sports card repack company, or I mean, is it more of a helmet a memorabilia thing? I mean, what would you say?
Sport cards will
I mean, I still
definitely
think
always be the the prime. Yeah, go ahead, Darren. You can tell him.
I was gonna say, I mean, I think we will always primarily be a sports card company. It's basically the foundation of what we did, and we're just trying to take what we learned in the card space and try to apply that into the memorabilia space. Cards is just it's smaller, so it's easier to have a ton of inventory. Helmets, I mean, you just saw before we started, we have an entire warehouse where front to back, a whole wall is just slammed. It takes so much space to hold the type
Right.
of inventory you need for memorabilia. But I definitely think the memorabilia was a refresher for us. We had spent 6 years doing cards. I enjoy memorabilia, and I hope that at least competes with our card market.
Right on. Um, so like how how did that transition happen? Like how did you guys decide to jump into helmets or memorabilia? Like what was so attractive about that category over the sports cards?
um, so to answer this question, there was absolutely nothing that was exciting for me about jumping into the memorabilia game. Inventory control, having this many helmets, finding packaging all over the world, um, creating designs. It was just a massive overhead to jump into this game. And for about 9 months, Darren had come to me and said, "Hey, listen, I've got some connections. I need you to have these phone calls. I think we need to get into the memorabilia game." And I'm like, Darren, it's just not going to happen. It's not, we physically do not have $1 million sitting around to just jump in this game. And I'm a jump into the pool with no water in it type of guy, right? Like I'm out for a challenge, but when we don't have $1 million laying around, we can't afford to take money from the card side to get into the memorabilia side. So this went on for about 9 months. Finally, we were working one day. It was probably 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He says, "Look, man, I just need you to take this one phone call. Just take this one phone call." Just took the phone call. Um, that phone call kind of led us into the memorabilia game. It was somebody who had,
Mhm.
great connections, great guy. Um, kind of, kind of gave us our start, if you will. And so we jumped in like we do, head first, and it was a disaster right off the rip. So of course, we order this packaging, we get these helmets, we've got terms on these helmets. So they're starting to show up at the warehouse within like 5 days. We don't necessarily have the warehouse set up with pallet racks and all of these things you need for all of this massive inventory. So it all comes in, and then we don't have anyone to sell it to. And we don't have any packaging, because the packaging that Darren bought was, I wish I had one. I wish I had one.
It was so bad. Like,
Wait,
it was bad.
maybe I'm mistaken, but didn't this happen the first time with cards? Didn't you guys have an issue with the packaging?
So not necessarily with the packaging on the cards. One of the things is we didn't know where to source the packaging, right? So we had ordered some packaging, but you had to like physically hand build each box
Ugh.
and then cut the foam out from Uline. So it was super time consuming. We didn't know where to go for manufacturing, right? We ended up in China, of course, but we didn't know. Repacks weren't really prevalent back then. It wasn't a massive thing. So it wasn't, you could just type in repack on Google. It didn't come up with
Right.
sports cards. It wasn't even a thing. So yeah,
Right.
that was a whole different learning curve than this one. This one, we knew what we were doing and still messed it up.
I get it. And
Well,
even now, like when you type in the hashtag, in any of the social platforms, or, in YouTube, whatever, and repack, it's still very small. So Darren, what were you
Yeah.
about to say?
I'll say, well, the problem with this is, and this is kind of in our first interview with you, we said we're not gatekeepers, and we laid out the entire blueprint. And
Yeah.
in this industry, it's really hard to find anybody that'll do that. And so,
For sure.
in the packaging side of helmets, you got to think you have a 4-pound authentic helmet or a 6-pound Speedflex that has to not only look good, but it's got to be able to make it to the breaker through FedEx or UPS. It's got to be able to be stacked on a table, so they can display it. And so there has to be some integrity to the box, but also you don't want it to be corrugated cardboard. You want it to look, like a product box. And so when you have nowhere to go and no time to get samples sent, you reach out, you take a price, you buy them. And RC, when I tell you, man, these boxes, they would just crumble in onto the helmet, and we had, I don't know, 500 of them, Rick. I mean, I don't know. That's
Yeah,
probably my
too
biggest
many.
blunder. Yeah, that's probably my biggest blunder, because we were in deep with those and we had to just figure it out. Because once you're that deep into that box, they have to go.
I bet.
And we ultimately sourced it out and figured it out, and now we have really good packaging, and the product looks good. And the biggest thing I want to say about the memorabilia space is it's a little different than the cards. I think the memorabilia space, people buy the name on the outside of the box instead of the name coming out of the inside of the box. And what I mean is there's certain companies that get bought just because they're certain companies,
Okay.
and doesn't mean they have the best helmets. It
Yeah,
doesn't.
marketing.
Matter of fact, some of them have the worst helmets.
Is that
Um,
just a brand awareness and popularity thing? I mean, it's just something I recognize.
I
So
think the best way I could give you an analogy would be why people still grade with PSA. There's definitely other companies out there that grade with
right.
higher integrity and more consistency, but it's PSA. So,
Yeah.
ironically, the company also has 3 letters
Well, with that
that
analogy,
I'm talking about.
though, PSA holds the secondary market value, right? When it comes to the memorabilia
True.
game, it's not as volatile as the cards, right? There's not a grading process.
Right.
There's not nothing like these helmets up here. What is this? That George Kittle helmet. It's going to be between $800, $900, $700 to $900 all the time. It's not going to change, right? So the secondary market value doesn't change, but the marketing strategies of some of these companies, of course, and I'll just say, Fanatics makes a dog shit product. Sorry, it is what it is. But they have the license to everything, right? But their product sucks.
Right.
Like value for value, their product sucks. And that's just my personal opinion. It is what it is. But you take their product and it gets sold more on bigger platforms because of it being Fanatics, right? And then you take the company that was
Sure.
running the industry when it comes to memorabilia was TRA. TRA's marketing strategy, absolutely phenomenal. But I don't like some of their business tactics, right? When they take, if you've got a $5 million client or a multi-million dollar client, they're getting all the Patrick Mahomes, all the Tom Brady's, because those are your big chases, right? It's not your big rookie chases anymore. You're chasing the big names, right? Your Drew Brees, your Tom Brady, your Peyton Manning, things like that.
Sure.
So that company had a stronghold on the market, but they weren't necessarily treating the smaller guys the right way. So they lost a little bit of their thunder. Then Fanatics come in and shut us all down. We could do a whole podcast where I just tell you all about Fanatics and their hostile takeover and their cease and desist letters and it was insane. Last summer was just insane for the memorabilia game, and we had just got in it. So we got it right in the beginning.
Well, it's interesting you say that. So with that about Fanatics, I mean, I still hear that quite a bit from local card shops, breakers. I mean, they're in the same boat where they just can't get. And I mean, if you look at what would they have in Arizona, the Fanatics little preview of what's coming out and everything. And one of the big things they talked about was, getting product out. But who do they invite? They invite big money and influencers. And then, the paper leaks, and I don't know if it's real or not, but it's got basically a score sheet on everybody that buys product from them. And it's not only like, how much did you buy? Do you have a social media presence? Did you go to Fanatics Fest? And there's a lot.
Yep.
Are you going to start selling our credit card? And they can do that because they're the machine, so I hear a gripe about that. So it's beautiful. And I know a lot of guys are going to agree that there is somebody that's thinking about, I want to get into this today. How am I supposed to do that? It's impossible for me. I don't have the dollars to get one of these Fanatics helmets or to get allocation for wax, from Tops. Like, it's crazy. So it's cool to hear that. What I
Well, I
was going to
remember the
ask.
one. Well, sorry, Steven, but one
Oh, you're
thing that
good.
shocked me was, and Rick, I don't know if you remember this phone call when we were trying to get allocation ourselves, because we had two hobby shops that we ultimately parted ways with, because when we tried to get allocation, we called our rep and we were like, we can sell like $250,000 a month easy just within our breaker community. And he laughed us off the phone, bro. 250,000 is not nothing. And so
Right.
the deep pockets you have to be able to compete in that type of industry is just bananas. And but I think that's why repacks will always live, because the breakers that want to break stuff, you still get, hits. You get hits. You get Topps Chrome. You get, all of the latest Panini brands right before they lost their license. All that stuff's in the repacks on the card side. So there is an avenue for the smaller guys. And it is, in my opinion, sad that it's reached a point where unless you're a million followers on TikTok or whatnot, and you have millions of dollars in your bank, you don't get access to the hobby now. It's crazy.
Right. Well, so let's pivot back here to your guys' stuff, because I do have some questions about helmet selling and repack. So you guys strictly do helmet mystery products, is that correct?
Correct.
When it
Yeah,
comes to helmets.
we do everything from mini helmets. So we have mini helmets, we have jerseys. We have the new MIDI Speed Flexes. Have you seen those?
I did. I was looking at them earlier. That's dope.
Man, they're so freaking cool. And then we do the actual authentic helmets, replicas, and then the Speed Flexes that you actually see them wear on Sundays.
So let's, if you don't mind, if one of you guys could break that down, when you use the term authentic helmet and then replicas, can you explain all that to everybody?
I got
Rick,
you,
can
and
take
I
that
can
one.
show you. So a replica helmet, this helmet looks like what they used to wear, right? So speed helmets, think of the NFL in the early 2000s, right? This is the helmet they wore. When you think of Tom Brady, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, this is the helmet. This is a replica that has plastic on the inside, right? This helmet weighs 3 pounds. It's just a replica. You cannot use this helmet at all, right?
Right.
This is an authentic helmet. This is the actual helmets that they used to wear. This is called a Speed Pro from Riddell. This is the helmets that they wear. So it has padding. You could actually put this helmet on and wear it and go play. So this is what they wore. I think the Speed Flex come out 2012, 2013. I could be completely wrong on that. But then this is your Speed Flex. So this is what most of the NFL is wearing today, right? This is an actual Speed Flex helmet that they wear. So of course everything is
You
signed.
should put it on.
That's what our boys are wearing. All of our
They-
youth program, they're all Speed Flexes. Oh
Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
Speed Flex. They're
Well,
moving to
and what it's done is it's evolved to keep the shock resistance. Like if you've seen that little cutout, you know what I mean, in the
Yeah.
front of it. Like helmets are always going to evolve in safety protocols and stuff like that. So the Speed Flex is you'll see it every Sunday. Those and
Oh, yeah.
Axioms
yeah, completely
are what's
outside
worn
of
now.
memorabilia, sports, collecting, all that stuff. These helmets, they do testing on them. Of course, Virginia State, you can look it up. They test them, their 5-star rating and stuff like that. So you have like the Vices, like what Patrick Mahomes wears, the 2.0. So two
Right.
big companies, of course, Cerator Sports and then Riddell. Cerator Sports owns Vices and Shut. So your F7s, your F7 Pros, all of that stuff that you'll see a lot of the receivers wearing. But Riddell's new helmet is the Axiom. So it's the Speed Flex. It's the new version. It has the cutouts on the side and stuff. So the more,
Right.
I guess, flexible the helmet can be, the less impact the head is going to take. So, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, there's a lot into that. So obviously, we have to have different levels of costs, right?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Right. Well, and to go off of what he just explained, so the replica, you don't put it on. It's literally just a display piece. The authentic is what they used to wear. Speedflex is what they wear now. Those cost individually their own amount, right? And this is where it differs from cards. Then you have to go because you have to get those licensed with the decals already on them. So a cost of each of those would be a certain thing. That fluctuates with industry standard, but it's around a ballpark. Then you add the autograph, which is obtained at private signings. So you have a Josh Allen auto, or you have a Joe Burrow auto, or let's even say a Jaden Reed. Each of those individually have their own cost to obtain their auto at a signing. So when you take the just the flat standard rate of what the helmet cost you to get and the autograph cost, that's where you kind of have a safety net as far as floor goes for value. Whereas cards, it can fluctuate day to day, week to week, month to month. What product is it from?
Minute
Did
to
a new
minute.
release come out? Minute to minute, man. And so that's where, for me, if I was a collector, I would collect memorabilia because there's a safety net there, as opposed to the card industry where you could get into some trouble having, let's just say you went big on Kenny Pickett. I did. That's what ended my card collecting, to be honest, because I swung and missed big on that.
Real big.
If I had his helmet, at a minimum, I could have wiped his auto and sold the licensed Speedflex for $500-600.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I did a short video about the QB hype cycle, and it was at a point where I was so frustrated with sports cards, football cards specifically, in my end of it, flipping and it was disgusting because Rick, like you said, minute to minute, I got this card in and it took a week to get here, and I'm down 40% on what comps are because he had a bad game. And it just I just got so tired of we're chasing all these guys that aren't proven, and there's no very rarely are you going to hit big with, and I'm talking about cards that are not quite case hits, but numbered cards or parallels that, at the beginning of the season, yeah, some kind of wave or sparkle or something, whatever color you want, because there's 8 million. And then 2 months later, they ain't worth a shit, and it just killed me. And it's funny you say that about memorabilia because my wife always goes, why do you waste your money on cards that fluctuate so much when you really just want, a set of Tyson autographed boxing gloves? And I'm like,
Yep.
I don't know. That's a good question. So do you guys find that, it brings a different type of collector with memorabilia and helmets specifically, or is it pretty much the same sports card crowd?
It's a lot of the same. There's a lot of crossover. Of course, people who like their cardboard really like their cardboard, right? Like you said, being a collector, it's hard for me to want, and don't get me wrong, I have a little suitcase in the closet or one in the safe that, I keep this stuff and keep it put up, but I don't display it. And when I go to show my friends, they don't have a clue what it is, right? It's like, oh, that's cool.
Right.
But with memorabilia, they're display pieces, right? You show these. So you can see
Sure.
these helmets, even behind me, right? You can see these helmets like, oh, cool. Who's that? Who's that? There's something even with the jerseys, the mini helmets, all of that stuff, right? So it's more of a display than it is a collection. Um, and you get to share it with people, right? Like your sports cards, you can open it. Check this out. It's a red wave. This is Topps Chrome. And
Yeah.
they're like, that's cool. Who's that? Right? It's like, oh, it's Luther Burden. Oh, it's a rookie. Oh, we're
Yep.
chasing the rookie quarterbacks. Like, aren't
Yep.
you a Packers fan? Like, why do you have Caleb Williams color blast? Well, because it's going to
100.
be worth some money sometime, right? Maybe, I don't know. No, I'm a Packers fan. I want Packers helmets and jerseys and all the cool stuff. So it is, but there's a lot of the same crowd, right? So you still have, I think the word I used last time is the can't pay your light bill degenerates. I think is what I used in the first
Mhm.
video.
That was
So
that was the best one.
you still have your gamblers, right? Everyone is still out. They're chasing, they're breaking, same type of setup, same breaks. So yeah, there's a lot of crossover.
Yeah, I get emails locally. We've got a large store that you know it, they do a lot of memorabilia. It's all related, but they do a lot of signings. So I started paying attention. Um, it's a pain in the butt though. Like it's a lot more expensive than I thought. So you send guys to get these things signed, or is it easier to find your like a buyer for case hits at card shows? Is it easier to find somebody that already has all this? I'm sure you would pay a premium on it. Like, what's the better avenue?
Oh, so the better avenue is always to work with the wholesalers, right? They have connections with the players' agents, right? So, for instance, if we want to reach out and have X player, doesn't matter which player, come out and break with us. You'll see this a lot in the memorabilia game on TikTok now, right? They go get an athlete to come out and break with them. Well, those athletes sign when they come out of college, they sign with somebody, right? Their agent then signs them with somebody, and they do X amount of signings throughout the year, X amount of signatures for these people. And then those people, of course, they're the ones that acquire the helmets. They get everything. And then you just purchase it from them. So it's a lot easier that way. For instance, we'll just take Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady was with Upper Deck for a long time. Now he's with Fanatics.
Right.
To get his signature, you personally, I think it's like $2,800. And then if you want an inscription, it's an extra 1,000. And then the helmet itself, whatever you're sending in, let's say you're sending in a Speed Flex. Well, that Speed Flex cost you $500. So you're into this Tom Brady signing with an inscription, almost $4,000. Whereas you can go to the secondary
Jeez.
market and buy one for 3 grand, right? So, or you can go to a distributor if you have one, not necessarily Tom Brady, but other ones. We use Josh Allen, for instance. Josh Allen signs quite a bit. So Josh Allen's helmet on the secondary market is like a $900 Speed Flex, right? His mini helmets are like $300. His Speed Flex is like $900, and then everything in between. Um, Whereas if you were to take an individual helmet and send it to one of the signings, it's probably going to cost you more money that way than it is to just buy it if you have wholesale. But in order
Okay.
to get wholesale, you have to work, you have to have a business, you have to have the license, you have to have all that stuff to be able to buy them. And then you have to buy in bulk. They're going to want you to spend a lot more money than just one or two helmets. So working
That makes
partnerships,
that
working with good companies.
like always. I mean, I guess that's the way to do it. But again, having the infrastructure set up is got to be huge. I was looking on ripenigma.com, and I noticed what appeared to be almost like a hybrid package where you might have like a card helmet jersey kind of thing.
Yep.
Is that becoming a thing now?
It's been a thing. So our product is the Throne. It's essentially just you get either one. It could be one Speed Flex, one authentic helmet, an authentic jersey, and then a mini helmet. So those helmets or those products, they do a lot better in the breaks, right? Because if you're selling a break, it's just one helmet. So it kind of like in the repack world with the cards, it's just one single card, right? If you split that up into 32
Right.
spots, only one person's going to hit. Now, of course, in this industry, we all know that when it comes to TikTok or whatnot or any of those things, you have to send a package to every single person, right? It's no longer where you can just send out the winner and move on. So every single person has to get something.
Right.
Well, with these helmets, if you look at, a Speed Flex box, those sell in the secondary market for anywhere from, 1,000 to 1,200 bucks. Well, you take that 1,000 to 1,200 bucks, divide it into 32 spots, it's still pretty expensive. So by adding in
Yeah.
the jersey and the mini helmet or having multiple, it allows multiple products for multiple people to hit. So eases some
Man,
of
more
that
value for sure.
that
Yeah.
burden. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, so I guess that kind of starts me wondering about repacks versus, or mystery product when it comes to cards versus memorabilia. But so I notice all day, all we see is the digital end of it, your arena, your courtyard, your power
Yep.
packs, all that good stuff. Is it getting harder for the repack model to stand out for you guys at least, or as far as physical goes? So I mean, it's basically what I'm asking is the physical repack going away and we're just all moving to digital? And what are you guys seeing on your end because of that?
So the digital market is definitely something. I mean, when you look at online shopping, period, right, it's going to be 200, 300% increase. But one thing with the online shopping on the digital side is, of course, people are going to shop digitally, but there's an entertainment value to breaking that will always stay, right? It'll keep our physical aspect. So the
Man,
entertainers, people want to be part of a community. They want to go in, they want to support whoever's behind that camera. They want to, communicate with the people that are around. It's like online casinos, right? Online casinos, of course, there's people sitting on their couch spinning those wheels, but there's also people that go into the casinos for the atmosphere, for
right,
the whatever it may be that they're getting in that area. So the entertainment aspect will always keep the physical cards alive, but also the shops, right? So as you stated earlier, how these mom and pop shops and a lot of these hobby shops, Fanatics is just torching them. They're tearing them apart, right?
yep,
They can't get products. They can't obtain any of the stuff. We sold the last shop we had, just 4 5 months ago. Because there's just, you can't get allocation. You can't play in that game, right? Unless you're doing low end singles, things like that. Those mom and pop shops are going to suffer, and they are suffering, and they're closing all around the world. You either conform or you close. But having the repack option right now still gives them an option at having some product that can be sold on their shelves, right? So they can still acquire, whether it's some of the products that they can get that they have to pay secondary prices for. They can also add those repacks, right? So having the repacks on the shelf, like I said, being able to go into 300, 350 hobby shops over the last year, those hobby shops have success with our products. So, well, the ones that don't try to charge 500% increase margins. But um, so yeah, I think the
yeah.
physical aspect will always stay.
I mean, I was just wondering. I still see it on Whatnot. I mean, I see tons of repacks being open, and I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I was going to ask too. So maybe 6 months ago, 8 months ago, whatever it was, Whatnot comes out with you have to be an authorized dealer,
Uh,
repack dealer. So you guys are authorized to sell repacks to Whatnot breakers.
yeah.
What exactly does that even mean? Like,
So they're surprise set, manufactured sealed surprise sets. So last year, toward the end of the year, of course, Whatnot changed all of their stuff. I think all of that stuff went into place sometime in November. So before that, they had reached out. Um, we're not breakers, right? We don't, us personally, we don't break. We just own a wholesale company that supplies breakers and hobby shops. So we'd got an email or something to fill out this application to be a surprise set, a sealed surprise set, uh, authorized company, if you will. So filled it all out. They had a third party company. ABS actually did ours out of Houston, I believe, is where they're from. ABS come in and they audited our warehouse. So as you've seen right before we started this, we kind of walked over there and went through the warehouse. I don't know if you noticed or not, but every single station, if you will, whether it's shipping, intake, quality control, supplies, actual manufacturing, the heat tunnels, any place that you're at on the wall, it has, you know, your requirements, regulations, what you're supposed to do, checklists, all of this stuff. So they come in, audit the whole place. Um, it's pretty cool. I like what they attempted to do. Of course, there's still a lot of work and there's a lot of stuff that's going on. Whatnot's kind of all over the place with that. But yeah, so they come in, audited our warehouse. We got the approval. So now all of Enigma products for sports cards and for TCG are approved for Whatnot use.
Ah,
So
nice,
that
nice.
was pretty cool. That was actually a big step last year. I think we actually got the approval sometime in December. It took a while for it to come back. Cost us quite a bit of money to have the audits done, and then anybody who is building repacks, they now have to have them sealed at least sealed in a authorized location, if you will.
Okay. So did that whole process with them coming in? I mean, did you have to look harder at your packaging, or have to get checklists, or make sure you guys have always had the best, floor and ceiling in front of your face, your best guaranteed buyback, all that good stuff. But did you guys have to look at the whole structure of it a little bit deeper? I mean, was it pretty much
There
just
was a
like, hey, we
lot that
already
had
do
to
all that?
change. We had to. So, for instance, Whatnot doesn't allow us to put our floor and ceiling on the box, right? So that's one of the biggest things. We have a bunch of packaging still to this day that we have to cover with stickers if they're going to Whatnot, because we're not allowed to put our floor and ceiling on the box. You're not allowed to advertise that anymore. The breaker can, I guess,
Hmm.
but us as a manufacturer, we're not allowed to. So it can't go on the box. Also, checklists. We always thought, and I talked to Whatnot about this a little bit, a checklist. If I send you, Steven, 10 cards and I give you a checklist and you hit 8 of those cards and the highest card's still left, what's to stop you from keeping that card? Right? So the objective
Absolutely.
was always to make it a more safe environment and a better product for the consumer. But that's because the breaker wasn't doing their job correctly, right? The breaker is the one, there's
Right.
people that were scamming or building shitty products or not being transparent about what they're doing. What stops them if they have a checklist? What stops them from doing that, right? So I didn't quite understand the checklist, but you do have to have checklist. But they've now recently changed that where you can do single show sets, single
Hmm.
show surprise sets, I guess, and maybe you don't have to have a checklist now, but there's a lot. There's still a lot of unknown. We're glad that we're part of Whatnot. It has definitely increased our revenue. There is a ton of people. We are getting calls at least 2 or 3 a day where people want us to build their repack, right? They want us to, and of course, we do everything from packaging all the way up to ready to rip boxes now. So we offer every service in between. We'll even create your logos, right? We'll do all your design work, all your sticker work, everything in between. So, it's been good for us, but you can't get anybody on from Whatnot on the phone. So it's like we want to
It's
make
hard.
sure that we're doing
They're a
everything
small
right.
company.
Are they a small company? $1 billion company, right? With a B.
A $1 billion financial in a small set for infrastructure. Like you got to have the original reps number that you talked to when you were getting verified as a seller, and get them to. That's the only way I can ever get a hold of anybody, but I can that way. Or they're actually more responsive in their Discord. If for anybody that didn't know, that's a good way to get a hold of them, because just so pro tip number 73, Discord for sure. But so with
Well, I need
with
that because I've
whatnot
got
though, I mean,
about
so
70,000 questions for them, and
oh dude,
we're
I'll
about to
send you
open a few more locations. So
I'll send you my guy, and if anything, Discord's the way. But so I mean, with that, like, so if you're getting some traction on Whatnot, I mean, that's got to be huge. Does that mean you guys got to move to Florida now? Because that's where all the big breakers are, and the Whatnot guys I see, anyways.
Darren, did you tell him that, or did he just throw that out there like it was nothing? Uh-huh.
No, it's
Um,
like backyard, all them dudes that like a lot of guys I deal with on the Facebook end. I mean, everything's like Tampa and all that. They're all down there.
so of course you have Burbank, um, of course Dallas, and then Florida. I would say those are probably your
Mhm.
meccas of your sports card world. Um, Not so much Dallas anymore with Panini being gone, but still the DCS show is one of the biggest every other month.
Sure.
Um, yeah, Florida is definitely. So here's the thing: my wife's always wanted to move to Florida, anyways. So if I was going to leave Texas, Florida's probably the only other place I would go. But
For sure.
um, as far as business goes, I foresee a location opened, audited, and producing repacks in Florida probably within 60 to 90 days. So
That's
here pretty
dope.
quick. We will have a second
Nice.
location out there. I don't know if me personally, if I'll be running it or if I'll still be here. I'll probably still be here in Texas, but we will have some people out there running it. Um, and yeah, so Florida is definitely on the table. Something we're going to be doing here pretty quick.
Hell yeah, Sunburn City. I know you guys saw my post because Rick, you actually commented on it. It got a lot of I got a lot of messages. Just kind of when PSA released the whole fake thing. But I wanted to bring it up though because you guys buy. I don't know anybody personally that buys more than you guys. You guys buy a ton cards,
Oh,
memorabilia,
the
helmets, all that good stuff.
noodles,
How,
man.
so how have you ever come across a fake item? I mean, obviously you've had to have.
Damn, I wish I would have had them. Uh, I probably have fake items right now in the warehouse, two doors down. But yes, that is something that has become, especially in the TCG world. Like we won't even deal with raw TCG at all. Like it doesn't matter
I
what
don't
it's
blame you.
from. We won't mess with it. So like all of our Pokemon packs, they're graded cards only, and we only deal with PSA, CGC, and Beckett. Um, but even the slabs, right? We have a
Fake. Is it fake?
yeah, yeah, they are.
It's
It is
crazy. It's
rampant.
crazy.
So even like I said, even the slabs, we have to go through the slabs, whether it's blacklight test the deal, turn them over, make sure the QR codes are good, make sure that the barcode actually goes back to what it says, the all of it, the little holographic sticker on the in the front. You have to go through all of that.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely something that QC and intake. When we intake something in QC it, we of course PayPal goods and services was the standard for a long time for purchasing. I hear a lot of stuff going on right now about them not covering secondary market value and things like that. We've dealt with that with shipping companies, UPS, for instance.
Yeah.
I hate them for the record. UPS is terrible.
When I was getting stuff from you guys, I was so much, I was happier when we went to UPS just because I always have the issues with the USPS. You remember my Ring camera where the lady comes walking up holding the open box, and I still have it with. You remember the damn thing was empty, and it's like I
Wow.
got a bunch of foam inserts, and it's just like, and they didn't put a sticker on it, but it's crazy because it doesn't matter where you go, you're gonna have problems. Somewhere. It's just funny to hear. You're like, dude, I hate UPS, and it's like that. I thought that's all you guys ship. That is funny. Oh, that's great. But like so how do you guys, we're a year out from the auto pen and all the autograph
Yeah.
scandals and stuff. And that's right around the time you guys are going into it. Like how do you guys protect your buyers? How do you protect yourself?
One of the biggest things. Hold on, Darren. One of the biggest things that we will always do is everything that comes from us, regardless. We're not perfect, right? Nobody's perfect. Clearly, there was hundreds of millions of dollars of replicas out in the market, right? One thing that we will do as a company and will always do is we will guarantee our stuff, right? If you get something and there's proof, if you can find definitive proof that it is fake, we will replace it or we will buy it. We will give you market value for it. We'll give you more than market value for it, right? There is anything that we do, most of everything that we buy comes from wholesale anyways. They come directly from the signings. They come from, Patrick Mahomes stuff. We know where all of that stuff comes from. We know when it was signed. So we're not buying a ton of stuff on the secondary market. But yeah, if it comes from Enigma, it's guaranteed regardless, because we'll buy it back. Even if you just think it's fake, we'll buy it back and we'll give you market value for it.
That's
So
beautiful. Hell yeah. That's beautiful. That is the only way to go. And anybody that's dealing with companies that don't do that, I don't understand why. That's insanity. So, from your guys' seat, what feels stronger? And I know this is going to sound a little weird, but understand where I'm coming from. I went from doing repacks to lining and flashing and like this whole Facebook circus. So sports card flipping, you're a guy like me, you're, going in and trying to, make my 10%. Is that driving the hobby, if you will? Is memorabilia driving the hobby? Is repack products, be it digital or physical, are breakers driving the hobby? Like, what do you guys think? What's your opinion on that?
I think it's a little bit of everything, right? You have, of course, without everyone, repackers get a bad rap, right? But without the repackers, there's not as strong of a market to sell your cards, which is going to drive the price down. That's just the truth, right?
Right.
That's economics, any way you slice it. So if there is demand, then the supply and demand, right? Same thing. So if there's a lot of demand, then you've got to find the supply, which is why we see everything being printed in massive print rates as right now. But I think it's a little bit
Sure.
of everything. Of course, when you look at Fanatics, and I may not agree with Fanatics or like their company or like what they do or like their hostile takeover, um, they're going to sink billions with a B into this industry,
Mhm.
right? They're going to commercials in NFL games. Of course, the NFL owns what, 10% or something of Fanatics and is their largest investor. So
Right.
something along those lines. I don't know for sure, but it's something along those lines. They're going to sink. There's everyone, whether it's, all the new breakers, all of the new collectors, everyone you meet, anytime that, you walk up to someone and show them your red wave, even though they don't know what a red wave is, it's a cool card and it makes them think back, hey, I remember my grandpa had these, right? Or I remember my dad had a collection of these. Or I remember back in the 80s when, Michael Jordan or this or that, or even, if you start talking to some old timers and they start talking about the 70s and the 60s, and their
Sure.
postcards and the baseball stuff. So I think all of it, I think we should see over 150% growth in the market over the next 24 months, I would
Mhm.
assume. So I think it's everything. It's just from COVID to today, it's still just blowing up, right? There's still just more and more and more and more people want to break, and the groups. And then I don't know much about all the Facebook stuff. That's completely out of my. As a matter of fact, I just get upset and I'm jealous because I can't flash my cards at 140% and everyone else can, and I don't. I guess it's because
It's
I don't
more than that,
support
man.
anybody or something. It's like
You got it. It's a pay to play.
yeah. I was going to use the term circle jerk,
100%.
but now I don't know if you've got to pull that out or not. Or anyways,
No, no,
uh,
no. And that's Will One-Drock. Shout out to that's his favorite thing, the circle jerk of support, and that is a
is it?
fucking fact. Oh my
Yeah.
God, man.
It's like, what
It
can I
is.
say here and what I can't? So, but yeah, no,
No,
it's
you're good, man.
completely out of it. I don't get into lines. I don't do lines. I don't mess with any of that stuff. I have props to those guys that do. Some people must be killing it or it
Man.
wouldn't be that big.
Yeah.
You of all people know that I cannot get past the business side of aspects, even when it comes to, I'll just use 501c3s, right?
hmm
501c3s, nonprofit organizations are businesses any way you want to slice it, right? So you get
100%.
all of this. When I look up and it's like, hey, that's a $1,000 card, and he's lining this thing for 2,200. I don't care if it cost me 37 cents. That's wrong. But
hmm
it's just me. Yeah. Oh,
Well,
the
I mean,
flat
either
seat.
way, though. Right. I agree. I agree. So, what do you guys think the next year looks like for Enigma? Besides the Florida, what else what else do you guys see?
I want to go back real quick and touch on the simple fact that I don't even play the lottery because only the government
Oh,
wins in the lottery. So
well,
just Just back to the lines and the crazies, and like I said, it's
Well,
probably envy more than anything.
you know,
But I,
back to that, it's hard for me because I've taken a hiatus from my admin role. I mean, I'm still an admin in there, but I'm not lining or flashing and doing much. I had surgery. Rugby season started. We're gonna go into
I
football. I
saw those
know,
videos, killing it.
dude. That boy is a monster. Oh my god.
That's badass.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I bought a drone to record them. Like that's how. Anyways, so, but I I wanted to do a flash where it was a no name. You do not know who the card owner is, and everybody told me you can't do that because, and it's true. I will flash a card. Let's say it's $5,000. It's going to go over 1,000. Why? Because not to toot my own horn, but because of who I am and what I do and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
People know me, and I support a lot. I spend a lot of money. If it's $5 here and there, if it's 20, whatever it is, I'm all over. If I don't have a name behind it, guys are just buying the name. They don't even care what the card is, and you know why? Because in my opinion, this is a fake number I made up. Allegedly, 90% of these dudes are they're just gonna sell it. They're just gonna take a buyback. They're just in it to gamble. And that's my attraction lately to memorabilia. Because like you guys said, it is a display piece because when people come over, I got some mini helmets. They look at those. They look at the Deion Sanders jersey framed on the wall. They are not looking at stuff that's worth way more that's in a slab. They don't care. They couldn't tell you what a downtown, a kaboom, or a kaiju was. They have no idea.
Exactly. No clue.
Yeah, but they know that helmet's badass though.
I think it's a growth year for us. I think we'll do a lot of growing this year. We did a lot of mistakes last year, right? Not necessarily bad mistakes, just learning. So we learned a lot last year. We're going to take everything we learned last year. We're going to apply it to some really good marketing. I think that's one thing that we've always lacked is if you're not seen, nobody knows who you are.
Yeah.
Even it's funny. I get people that'll call me from your YouTube video like, "Hey, I didn't know who you was at all, but I loved what you were doing with the repacks." And it's like,
Yeah.
I guess if you type in repack on YouTube, our video comes up where it says repacks suck across the top of it.
Yeah.
Um,
And
that's
yeah,
awesome.
I'm gonna try another angle, but to be fair, even with I don't want to say you guys have none. You do have some social media presence, but with the limited, it's not like Sports Card Nonsense, Clever Cuban, or Boston Card Hunter, or anybody. It doesn't matter. Even
We don't have a
the smaller,
single dollar in marketing revenue and
right?
never have 7 years.
But what I've noticed in the last 6 months is I'm still seeing your guys' accounts gain followers, gain
Uh-huh.
followers. So imagine once you guys put it into and then like not some amateur schmuck like myself, but like an actual company. Like, dude,
You're getting
you guys are
down. What
gonna
do you
go to
mean? This whole platform's growing.
yeah, we're getting there. But I mean, like, you guys are gonna moon. You know what I mean? Just like it's gonna be cool. And I don't know. I'm excited because like you would think just like you said, the most of these repack companies, most of these fly by night, whatever they do, hobby related things, they're here and they're gone, and you don't hear from them anymore. You guys are one of the first that I ever heard from, and holy shit, every time we talk, we're building. You're not you're not robbing your customers. You're building the right way, and it's and you're accessible. Your emails are on there. You guys' phone numbers are on there. You guys will answer. Like that is, dude, that's unheard of, man. Look at Whatnot. You can't get a hold of anybody, right? You got to know the secret code, knock 3 times, spin around, and say the magic phrase. That is not the case with either of you guys. So
Yeah,
that's
no,
awesome.
we want to be accessible. We want to, like I've said, I don't believe in competition. We're not out here in competition. We don't have to be in competition. I will teach anybody what we've learned and I will save you millions of dollars because we have spent millions of dollars to learn some of the lessons that we have learned. Um, and I don't mind saving you some money because you're going to come out here. If I save you $3 million and you go out and put $3 million into promotional and marketing material, guess what? How many people are you bringing to the industry that we live in? Right, this industry every single day, outside of all the nonsense, it allows us to do something that we enjoy every day. It allows us to
Hell
spend more
yeah.
time with our family. It pays our bills. All of those corny blah, 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 thank you, nonsense. I get it all. Yeah, but it's all true. You know, it's all true. We are very grateful for what we do. We want to pass on the knowledge that we have. We want to make sure that the industry continues to grow. And we want to put out one of the best products in the market. Is there a little competition when it comes to, us wanting to produce a better product? Of course, but never competition in the sense of we want to keep you out of it. We're not going to gatekeep the secrets. We're going to teach you what we know. And we're sponges. If somebody else wants to come out and teach us what they know, we would love to do it. Let's learn. We'll fly anywhere across the United States.
Hell yeah.
Let's figure something out. I'm all for it. So if the small
That's
guys can
awesome.
take out the big guys, I'm all about it.
I love it. Holy smokes. Well, you guys, I mean, I wrote like always, I write a 20-minute interview and here we are at an hour, and I know Darren's got to get going, but seriously, I cannot say thank you enough for this again. And I mean, honestly, I would have you guys on every day of the week, because it's just, there is so much that I learn and that people learn. And again, I've had some videos that hit, and your guys' is one of them, especially some of the shorts where you guys break it down, because nobody gives the secret sauce recipe, man. Nobody does. They're all gatekeepers, and everybody is like just keeping it close because they need those last 3 pennies to themselves. And it's a beautiful thing that you guys are the opposite. So I can't say thank you enough. Yeah.
Oh
Right
yeah, I'll
on,
come on here once a week if you want some controversy. People will hate me.
dude. I I'm gonna do a little roundtable thing, and there's a couple bigger YouTube guys I want to try to get into this. Maybe we can work something out, man. That would
Yeah,
be
let's
fun,
do it.
because
Let's do it.
we got people like me who just really run their mouth, and then it's nice to have like true end user dudes. Like, I'm in the hobby, but you are the hobby. You know what I mean? So it's pretty
Some
dope.
of it. We're still small fish. That's what we say, right? We're still small fish. We're out here learning, just doing what we can, enjoying every single day. So
Right on.
that's what
Hell
it's
yeah.
about.
Sweet, man. Rick, Darren, I can't say thank you enough, man. Until next time, man. Be safe and keep smashing.
Absolute pleasure. We're gonna see you at Nationals this year.
If it's Chicago, probably not. We'll see. I've been off quite a bit, man. I got to get back to work. So
All right. Well,
we'll
get your
see.
shoulder
Yeah.
fixed, and I will fly up and we'll go have dinner and do something
Hell yeah.
non-physical. Maybe go to the casino or something.
That no,
You can push the
Cleveland's always,
button,
yeah.
right? Like,
I
all
all
right.
day.
Yeah, there we go.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you, man.
Appreciate you, big dog. See ya.
Peace.